Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be talking about a topic that I've been studying for the last 3 years. This is also the same topic that I've been studying while in college. It's something that I would like to say I kind of have a small expertise. If I did have an expertise in an area of study, it would be this one. I'm going to be talking about mass communications. Not only am I going to be talking about it, I'm going to be defining it. I'm going to tell you what the difference is between mass communications and journalism, which a lot of people confuse it and put it in the same box, which is okay. It's understandable because it kind of entails the same things, but really there is a slight difference in between journalism and mass communications. So I'm going to tell you the difference between those two. I'm also going to tell you the different types of opportunities that it is to get a mass communications degree, what exactly you could do with a mass communications degree, and how you could use it in your future. And I'm also going to be talking about an article that I saw on Poynter.com that stated reasons why it's still a good time to be a young journalist in the mass communications industry. So to begin with this topic, I'm going to be defining what mass communications really is. And according to businessdictionary.com, mass communications is the process of delivering a message to the national public through national press, television, or radio. So pretty much anything where we get our news sources from, that is mass communications. So just based on that definition alone, you could see how a lot of people can confuse it with journalism, and a lot of people don't know what the difference is just based on that they both entail the same things, though they entail the same outlets. It's not necessarily the same content, but the same outlets. So let's say in the journalism world, you'll be using television to spread your word, where in the mass communications world, you'll also be using television or radio or national press to spread your word. But the main difference is, according to Quora.com, is that mass communications is lighter news. It's more like commercial. It's more for advertisement, and it's more for entertainment purposes. That's what mass communications really entails. Versus journalism, where journalism is more hard news. So for instance, whenever you see a TV station covering a murder scene, that's more journalism because it's hard hitting, and it's just up to the minute news, where mass communications could just be advertisement, and it just could be a commercial that they filmed 30 days ago, but you're barely seeing it today. So that's just mainly the main difference between the two topics that a lot of people like to confuse about. Now I'm going to be talking about what kind of educational opportunities there are with mass communications. Here at New Mexico State, what they did a while back was they combined journalism and mass communications. So now, if you want to get a degree in journalism, your major will be called journalism and mass communications. So at the same time, you could take a class of an advertisement class one semester, and then you could take a print class the next semester, and it still falls under the same category and the same degree. But some schools do differentiate their two, journalism and mass communications. For instance, Kansas State. Kansas State has over 40 different degrees just on mass communications alone, and it has multiple journalism degrees. And what they did, they actually split it up. So you can't get a journalism degree at the same time you get a mass communications degree. You kind of have to choose between both unless you double major. Here in New Mexico State, you could choose between both and get the same degree. So some of the things that the biggest thing that that schools like Kansas State offer when it comes to mass communications is advertising. It's probably the biggest form of mass communication there is. So there was, in their degree plan, in a Kansas State degree plan for mass communications, advertisement is their biggest quality of class. They're the ones that rank up to the 400 level classes. So you can see how it's different in bigger schools than it is from here, where in New Mexico State, like I had mentioned earlier, you could take an advertising class and a print class, but they all go under the same major. So that's just that's some of the differences between smaller schools and big schools when it comes to educational purposes, when it comes to journalism and mass communications. And the last thing I kind of want to hit on is the industry itself, the professional industry, and whether or not you could still have a successful career in journalism and mass communications. And the reason when it comes to this topic, I group journalism and mass communications under the same realm is because a lot of the complications that people with journalism degrees have had getting a job have happened to people with mass communication degrees. And that is that it's hard to get a job as soon as you graduate college. And that's true it doesn't even matter which school you graduate from. You could graduate from a small accredited school to Kansas State and your chances of getting a job might be equal. And they're also going to be slim. So an article that I read on Poynter mentioned a few reasons why it's still good it's still a good time to be either a young journalist or a young player in the mass communications field. And the main topic that they chose to talk about was the fact that they're still news hungry. People still need the news. So regardless of how advanced this technology gets, people are still going to be looking for newspapers to provide information of their daily lives that they might not be able to understand. So, for instance, newspapers you might not see as many newspapers as you used to, but newspapers have now developed websites to where they could still put out their information and they could still get paid for their service just based off the internet. So the technology thing and the technology discreditation that sometimes journalism and mass communication people get is kind of irrelevant now, because now everybody can use the internet. Now everyone can use social media to throw out the information and still get paid for their service. So all in all, that's probably the biggest that's probably the biggest defense of young journalists to still be interested in the industry, because there is the opportunity of still putting out your work and you getting paid for it. And to wrap it up, I just want to reiterate what I have talked about. Mass communications means literally anything you see on the national press, on the radio, on the internet, and on the TV that has a entertainment value, an advertisement value, or a commercial value. Where versus journalism is more hard-hitting news. It's more sources that we trust on to give us hard news. And also, there's still opportunities educational-wise with both journalism and mass communications. It just depends on which school you go to, and it just depends on whether or not that school even offers either of the or. And lastly, if anyone's interested in being a journalist, there's still opportunities. There's still opportunities for career growth in the industries. Even though they've gone slimmer within the decades, people are still looking for other people to give them the news that they need. So I would never discourage anyone from still becoming a journalist, because it's still an important field that we need, especially in this country. Thank you.